local authorities and decentralization in Ukraine. I'd like to thank Professor Milbradt for the efforts which he has dedicated for many years to the development of local authority in Ukraine. Thank you very much, Mr. Georg, and please, the floor is yours.
Dear participants of the conference, thank you very much for the invitation to this meeting. I'm very sorry that I cannot actively participate in person or by video conference. Fortunately, the organizers made it possible that I can contribute some ideas to this discussion by this pre-recorded statement. As we all know, the decentralization reform with the creation of capable Romadas with self-government was the most successful reform since the Revolution of Dignity, and the most popular reform as well, according to many polls among Ukrainian citizens. However, this reform is still unfinished, as some important legislation could not be achieved before the full-fledged Russian aggression last year. Since then, Ukraine must concentrate all efforts to win the war, to liberate occupied territories, and to protect the civilian population from Russian terror attacks. The Ukrainian constitution does not allow constitutional amendments during the period of martial law. Therefore, necessary amendments for completing the decentralization reform, especially on the local level, are not yet possible. In war times, a certain degree of centralization is inevitable, but it should be restricted to what is necessary. The inconceivable devastation of the territory, the destruction of infrastructure, economy, and residential property require an enormous effort of reconstruction by the Ukrainian people on all levels of government, as well as an extensive support by foreign donors. To achieve the desired and necessary EU membership, Ukraine should fulfill the accession criteria and change its legal and partly its administrative system in line with the acquis communautaire as soon as possible. Therefore, the necessary final step of your decentralization process, the restoration of local democracy in the occupied territories, the physical reconstruction, and the adaptation to European legal and institutional standards should not be seen as separate actions, but as one comprehensive, integrated effort of Ukraine, including all levels of government and the whole population. And this effort must be prepared now, during the war, not wasting precious time. What does it mean for the Romadas and the Association of Local Self-Government? As your current constitution, written in the first post-communist years, is lagging behind the already completed steps of the decentralization reform, Ukraine should amend the constitution after the end of martial law. The amendment should clearly define, guarantee, and protect local self-government and in line with the European standard and practice. The EU and its member states respect and guarantee the principle of subsidiarity, a bottom-up approach based on the citizens nearer to the people. Changes in ordinary law are necessary as well as to strengthen local self-government. This includes a stable financial foundation with sufficient tax revenues by local taxes and duties, a guaranteed share in the national personal income tax, as well as unconditional grants to balance fiscal needs. Conditional grants should be based on objective need and conditions and distributed in a fair and transparent procedure. The fiscal equalization system should be further developed to improve the situation of poor Romadas with low tax revenue, especially those in the periphery and in economically distressed areas. Romadas must be able to influence the social and economic development. This includes the important right to regulate how the land within the municipality or the municipal boundaries can be used, respecting interests of the central government, for instance, military, administrative needs, central infrastructure, and regional policy. A new comprehensive approach is necessary, which clearly defines the role of local self-government, the proprietors, the inhabitants, and the central state. The future legal reform should address the legal status of Romadas too. In all EU countries, they are legal persons under public law and not their organs, like in Ukraine. According to the European concept based on Roman law, the Romada is a special corporation uniting the people living on the territory. They elect their organs, mostly councils and mayors, who act on behalf of the legal person, Romada, within clearly defined internal good governance structures. Only in Belarus and Russia, the Romada has no legal personality like in communist time. You are, so to speak, in the wrong club. For successful post-war reconstruction, in intensive cooperation of all levels of government based on mutual trust is essential. This includes citizens and businesses as well. Local governments should be responsible and able to restore their infrastructure. The central government and its offices should support this by grants, co-financing, and advice. I suggest that the Association of Local Governments should be consulted, better included in the decisions concerning the internal management of donor money, its distribution, prioritization, application, and approval procedures. All allocations of funds should follow fair and transparent rules based on objective needs and damage assessments. In using donor money, a certain degree of flexibility on the local level is necessary to adapt reconstruction to the needs of the population, to exchange projects because of changes in needs, for instance, demography, structures, and technology. Even before the war, the existing infrastructure did often not correspond to the real needs because of internal migration, rural depopulation, economic developments, etc. The same applies for the funding of all sorts of local services connected with post-war problems, for instance, the IDP problem. There are some ideas for your discussion. The EU accession process and the post-war reconstruction requires further far-reaching changes. Despite your untold misery and immense sacrifices in the war, you have the change to catch up now. We, your Western neighbors, have the duty to support you as much as possible to win the war, to secure your identity, independence, and democracy, to become an important and valuable member of our union, and hopefully to establish a stable new peace order on our common continent. Thank you for your attention.